Hey everyone, it's your old mate Shano here. Thanks for stopping by to check out this video. Today we're going to review the documentary film Moonage, Daydream by answering 3 questions about it. What did I like? What didn't I like? And would I recommend it? But before we get into those questions, let's find out a little bit more about this documentary film. This was released in 2022. Now, we watched this on Netflix Australia, and it's not actually a Netflix original, so it is due to leave the catalogue on the 22nd of March. Here's the official description of the documentary so that you can get an idea of just what it's about. A cinematic odyssey featuring never-before-seen footage exploring David Bowie's creative and musical journey. Now, up front, I'm going to say that description does not do it justice. So, what do I mean by that? Well, let's answer the first of our 3 questions. What did I like about this documentary? Well, I can honestly say that it's one of the most original documentaries that I've ever seen. It's a psychedelic color splash, and it mixes in concert footage with archival interviews, movie scenes, artwork. It's just a mishmash of wonderful colours and acid trips for the brain. It's quite unique. And all of that visual stuff is overlaid with various songs from David Bowie's catalogue. For me, I found this to be an absolutely mesmerizing journey. It took us through his career from start to finish. And for me, as not a huge fan of Bowie, I actually learned something from it as well. Of course, I knew that mainly he was a musician, and obviously he acted in a number of movies, but I had no idea that he was actually a painter as well. The film showcases a number of his artistic works, and this was something that I had no idea about. One of the other things that really stood out for me was the quality of the archival footage. Even though some of it's pushing 40 to 50 years old, it was crystal clear. And even on my TV here at home, it looked impressive. And all I could think of was how amazing it would have looked if I'd actually watched this at something like an IMAX theatre. It would have been quite amazing. In a nutshell, it's one of the most amazing, unique documentaries that I've ever seen. In fact, I keep calling it a documentary, but I don't think that is actually technically correct. It's more of a multimedia visual experience. That's probably a much better way to describe it. So our second question is, what didn't I like? Well, there's actually not much that I didn't like about this. There's a couple of scenes that oddly seem to be repeated throughout. I'm not sure if that was some sort of artistic license, but it was something that struck me as being a little bit out of place. You need to be aware that this film is an assault on the senses, and while for me that was a good thing, it was one of the things that I really enjoyed about it, I can equally see this as being a massive turn-off if this is not something that catches your interest, or if it's not your thing to be completely immersed by colours and sounds in the form of a documentary. If you want an insight as to exactly what you're in for when you go into this, I recommend that you have a look at the trailer, because the trailer is exactly like the movie. The trailer is probably 2 minutes. What it shows is exactly what the documentary is like. The documentary is 2 hours and 15 minutes of exactly what you see in the trailer. So if you don't like what you see in the trailer, then you're probably not going to like what is in the documentary itself. So our third question is, would I recommend it? And well, if you haven't guessed it already, the answer to that is absolutely. I thoroughly loved this. And now, to be clear, I'm not actually really a David Bowie fan. I can probably name a handful of his songs. But even for me, as not a big fan of his, I found myself thoroughly immersed and drawn into this. And that's purely down to the way that it's all put together. It's not, as I said, a standard biopic type documentary. It is, on its own, an actual piece of art. So I would say to you, don't go into this expecting a documentary. It's not a biopic by any stretch. It's an artistic tribute to Bowie, to his music, to his art, and you could also say to his philosophy on life as well. It's a psychedelic acid trip that to me was a really fitting tribute to this multifaceted musician and artist. So in conclusion, I would say load it up, sit back, immerse yourself in it, and enjoy the ride.